The more clear that we are on what we want and have the capacity to attract that to us, it's more
Mm.
likely to happen.
You took a moment, which is really hard to do actually in a fast paced life, in a rushed, hurried life. We want quick results type of life, and you pause and you connect it to intention.
We can attract the perfect thing at the perfect time.
Theda Phoenix is a sound healer, intuitive singer songwriter, vocal activation coach, and recording artist whose soul inspiring music touches people on a deep, transformative level.
So resistance can come up in our lives sometimes. And I think the more that we try to force something, or the more we're resisting, I shouldn't feel like this is bad, this is
Mm.
wrong. The harder we resist and try to pull or
Ah.
force, the more stuck we are in that thing. We have the part of us that tries to control things, or we have a fear of letting go. And when we sing, we can allow ourselves to let go, to surrender the ego. It's the expression, we're getting it out. We don't have to hold it anymore. And
Mm.
so I use singing in that way.
What is sound healing?
Well, sound healing itself is.
And it's time for a little pop quiz interruption. I'd like you please to guess what is the percentage of people who are watching the content on this channel who have not subscribed? Are you ready? 97.5% have not subscribed. What? This blew my mind. That means only 2.5% of you have subscribed. Please help me change that. This makes a drastic impact on my capacity to continue sharing this educational content at no cost to you. All you have to do is press that subscribe button. If you have, thank you so much. Please continue sharing it with anyone you think can benefit from this. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Pause to Elevate podcast with Dr. Kasim Al-Mashat. I am so thrilled to share today's conversation with Theda Phoenix. She's a sound healer, intuitive singer, songwriter, and recording artist from British Columbia, Canada, whose truly celestial voice, shamanic sounds, and soul inspiring lyrics touch people on a deep, transformative level. And I can attest to that. With 5 recorded albums, she has performed at renowned conferences, including those with Dr. Deepak Chopra, Joe Dispenza, and the In Goop Health Summit. Vida leads sound healing workshops and intuitive singing classes that support mindfulness, inner connection, and holistic healing. Her work invites presence, emotional release, and self discovery through the power of sound and vibration. But first, Vida, a warm welcome to you to the Pause to Elevate podcast.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here, Kasim.
Thank you so much for joining us. And, having listened and felt and received your incredible, beautiful voice, like truly heart touching on all cellular level. I'm so thrilled that I have a chance to share this conversation with you. And I know one of your passions is supporting people to follow their creative calling. So, how did you discover your gift of singing and sound healing?
Hmm. Yeah, thank you. So since I was a child, I really believe we all have these, even as children, it's almost like we have a blueprint of what we're here to do
Mm.
in when we see something or hear something or experience something that lights us up inside. And I had experiences, really profound experiences with music in my childhood where I felt such a deep emotional connection with
Mm.
music. And I remember being in an assembly at school, high school, or no, sorry, elementary school. And
Mm.
this girl was playing a piece on the piano. And I just had this moment like I was so deeply moved, so touched by the beauty of the music. And it was almost like a recognition lit
Mm.
up inside of me that this kind of beauty lived in me somehow. Right.
Mm.
And I didn't know. It just was like such a peak moment. And I went home and like, Mom, I have to learn piano, 'cause it was the piano
Wow.
that touched me. Yeah. So I took some piano lessons, and I always loved to sing also. So again, when I
Mm.
was in elementary school, right from the early grades, I would sing in the choirs of school plays.
Mm.
And also, I remember we did Peter Pan, and I saw Tinkerbell on the stage. I'm like, I don't know, 7 or 8 years old, and
Yeah.
I thought, "That should be me up there, right? That should be me on the stage." And, so there was something in me that always wanted to be, sort of sharing something. Anyway, there's more moments of that, and then when I was
Mm.
a kid singing "Somewhere Over the Rainbow," I have memories of my dad asking me to sing that over and over, positive memories of that, and I always just felt this stirring, this desire inside of me to sing,
Mm.
and so and to also and there was this element of being on stage or being seen as well in that, right?
Mm.
Um, Also, it's funny, but when I was a little kid too, at like 3 years old, my dad tells me I asked him, "How do you get on TV?"
Oh.
And so
Oh, that is great.
I know there's just something in me at a young age that
Mm.
wanted to be, I guess, I don't know if it's a performer necessarily, because it's not
Mm.
just performance that I do. It's much deeper than that,
Yeah.
because of pairing the healing aspects with sound, because that's another thing that I'm very passionate about. So, yeah, music really touched me from a young age, and I grew up singing. Oh, yeah,
Mm.
this is the piece I wanted to tell you. Back to the piano. So I took piano lessons just for a couple of years, and
Mm.
then we moved to a remote community, a remote island community in the north coast of Vancouver Island.
Mhm.
It's called Echo Bay, Simoom Sound, and we had a one-room schoolhouse.
Wow, symbolic name too, echo. You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
yeah,
it's like an auditory, yeah,
yeah.
sound. So we moved to Echo Bay, and I went to a one-room schoolhouse, and it just so happened there was 12 kids in the school. It just so happened there was a piano in the schoolhouse,
Wow.
right? In the middle of nowhere. So I remember one of my favorite things to do was just sit at the piano. I did my, like, lessons, but then I would just sit there and just improvise and freestyle and just feel the music as it was
Mm.
being played, right? Just with curiosity, and not feeling like, oh, I have to play this note and this melody and this pre-written thing, but really just feeling that emotional connection to the sounds
Mm.
and to their relationship and to how they made me feel, and that just lit me up inside as well, just the freestyling exploration of sound
Mm.
and its impact on me. So then, flash forward years later, now I it's one of my favorite things is like, I teach intuitive singing now,
Yeah.
and I love to just open up to the expression that wants to come through with sound and voice, and with my sound journeys, it's mostly intuitive.
Mhm.
It's the same kind of quality in the moment, allowing the expression to flow through in the moment, and to me, that has a real intimate, authentic, and cathartic um,
Mm.
kind of connection, like, or expression, and people feel it. People feel it as well, because
Mhm.
it's like there's this. I'm just showing up in the moment. Whereas when we're doing something that's pre-planned,
Right, like a set of songs or yeah.
it can be more performative, right? Or removed somehow. And of course,
Mm.
the best artists that we know and love, that have songs that we know and love, they're really embodying the message and the energy of the song, even though they've
Mm.
performed it multiple times.
Right, right, and connect to the audience
Yeah,
then.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
bring the feeling into it. So it's not that that can't happen, but you really have to have an intimate connection with the
Mm.
music and the songs that you're singing or portraying in order to really touch people, I feel.
Mm. What a beautiful way of sharing it, and you made me think of a couple of things that I got really curious about. So here's this young Theda, like here you are, got curious, you saw some performance, you're like, oh, something touched you. Someone played the piano, something touched you, and you really like let that, like you listen to it, because many people get impacted by positive things, but they don't follow it. And
Mhm.
you something new said, I want to learn this, and you got supported, and you kept going with it. a couple of things I'm wondering about. How do you um, balance? There's the creative aspect, not just in singing, but just in life, so many things, and the kind of the planning, thinking part, the logical part, and like how do you balance that? Because you need to practice. So there's kind of discipline, there's practice. You got to do it when you don't feel like it sometimes. How do you balance creativity with the kind of discipline and practice?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good question, and it's evolved over the years. So, yeah, because I've been at this now for many years.
Mm,
Uh, since I was so when I was a kid, yeah, it's like okay, taking some lessons and getting that foundation. And I used to be actually very um, shy and insecure and scared about singing, like
mm,
because of getting it wrong, right? So there's that perfectionism
yeah.
and afraid of making mistakes. And I'm not totally answering your question yet, but um, I I couldn't really sing in public or in front of people unless I knew the words to the song, right? And I knew that I knew the
Ah,
words. So I I didn't have this creative expression access when I was a teenager until I was in my early 20s and doing
mm,
some personal development work um, and then opened up this creative flow
mm,
that I had prior to that. I had a lot of even after some stage fright, but the perfectionism and the stage fright actually prevented me from sharing
mm,
um, the music until I really opened up this. I guess I made a choice at one point. Um, I had always been wanting to be a singer and
ah,
visioning being a singer in my future. And then there came a point where I made a decision, and a choice to say, actually, I am a singer now.
ah,
And then start asking, like, what would a singer do? And then started taking the steps of being a singer. And so that opened up a lot of different things like okay, a singer would learn an instrument. So I started learning
mm,
guitar because piano for me, I just dabbled in it as a hobby when I was a kid, and then I left it all through my teen years. So
mm,
I didn't have mastery over an instrument. I did, casual, casual music, and then I started taking voice lessons. Right. So then it was like,
mm.
okay, a singer would would take voice lessons. A singer would start recording music, writing songs. Right. And so I just started immersing myself in the creative expression, getting mentors and coaches. I went to music school. So to feel more confident as well in music, the language of music,
Mm.
and so it is a balance. You're asking about the balance of the
Yeah.
structure and the creativity.
Yes.
So having
So,
the structure really it gives you the tools and the building blocks
mm,
to then sort of spread your wings in the creativity, right? But I also didn't wait to have the structure entirely, right? Like you just start gathering.
not a perfect structure, but you have some structure in terms of your art, and then you allow a component just to arise in the moment. So
Yes.
it really requires this being present, tuned into yourself, tuned into your space around you, and you know I think many of the listeners know I can't sing, but but I can so relate with what you're sharing.
Yeah, and so part of the structure is like you think of if someone's a painter, you're going to approach a painting.
Mm,
Usually they choose a palette, right? You choose a palette of colors, a theme perhaps,
mm.
right? Or you can just approach from a free form and see what happens.
Yes.
But often you have certain tools. You're like, I'm using these paintbrushes and these paints, and alone is your structure. So same with music. You might just pick, okay, this instrument.
Mm,
I might strum just a couple of chords, and that's my structure and a rhythm, right? A tempo or a rhythm, even a drum. The structure you're giving in the creative process. The structure can be just the beat and
mm,
pulse of a drum, and that's your structure. And then you let yourself just play. This is what I teach in intuitive singing as well. just try to tune in to something like the frequency of the beat or the pulse, and then just start letting yourself make some
Mm.
sounds from that place as well. So
Yeah, I love that description. So here's there's this intuitive part and there's a structured part, and they can actually feed each other. They support
mm,
each other. It's not like one against the other. Structure is going to crush this, or intuitive is going to crush structure. They can, hand in hand work together, and I can see that in so many fields. It's not just in singing.
absolutely.
It's something I often connect with in teaching. I have a plan when I teach mindfulness based stress reduction or retreat. So I have a plan, like here's a structure. And the more I have planned things, the more I can flow in the moment.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
more I can just relax because my brain goes, worst comes to worst, I got a plan to fall back on.
Come back on.
Right. But
Right.
I can let it go. Like the more I prepare, I find, the
Mhm.
more I can let it go and just be present
Yeah,
and let it flow.
yeah, that's very
Mm.
true. And showing up just for the yeah, just for the practice. So in my intuitive singing classes I teach, it's really like, okay, just show up and see what arises, right? So show like in a meditation. I teach
Mhm.
intuitive singing as a mindfulness practice, right?
Mhm.
And just being present. So instead of just observing any thoughts, it's you sing the thoughts or acknowledge the thoughts
Wow. Yeah.
and express through sound and let the sound become the meditation. And then it
Mm.
comes, we find I find then it leads to that, to the stillness, to the quiet mind and the presence.
Mm.
It's very beautiful. Same with the sound journeys that I lead.
Mm. And we didn't mention this when it began, but we may get a chance towards the end for kind of some impromptu in the moment sharing of some singing, and I know there's a ball behind you, so we may tap into that. But stay tuned, friends. We may have a treat at the end. So I want to go back to something you shared that feels to me like such a takeaway already, and it's like a drop the mic moment, which is you were saying you start asking the question like, what would a singer do? And what a takeaway for anyone in any field. Like, if you want to be good at something and if you want to excel, you may not be it, but like, what would a singer do? What would a baker do? What would a teacher do? So can you share more about that? Because that's actually that's a mindset
Yeah.
that you tapped into, instead of, oh, I can't do this, or you're like, what would they do? And then you worked towards that. Can you say more about that? I found that really actually pretty deep. This.
Yeah, it's so to make change, often they say we need to change on the level of identity and being, right? So when we have we have actions, and a lot of times we think we have to do all of this stuff in order to have the results to become something, right? To
Mm.
prove that we are enough or we are that thing. And
Mhm.
there's this whole flipping that I was exposed to, and where it was like, oh, actually you start from the place of being. You start from
Mm.
being, I want to be happy, right? And so, or like, what if I was just being satisfied now, or happy now, or I'm
Mm.
successful now, I'm a singer now. And then from that place, what would I naturally create? What actions would I naturally start to
Ah.
take, right? Rather than working so hard to try to get
To
somewhere else.
get to later, it's like, be it now.
Let it, yeah, let it be announced. Say, okay,
Mm.
I'm someone who's happy. And so if I'm someone who's
Mm.
happy, what would I do? Right? What would love do? What would love do in this moment? What would love choose? And then if I'm someone who's happy, and I'm identifying that I'm someone who's happy, and then going for a walk makes me happy. Playing music makes me happy. Playing tennis
Ah.
makes me happy. Being in nature makes me happy. Being with loved ones, then I'm like more inclined to do the things that make me, or that, are an expression of that happiness, right?
Mm.
And then you have the results of what it was that you took on as a way of being, right?
Mm.
So it was amazing for me to be like, oh, I don't have to be wanting to be a singer. I can be a singer.
Ah.
And then I was like, oh, singers would take courses and mentorship, and I booked studio sessions with producers that I met.
Mhm.
I booked gigs and I started writing songs, and it was amazing. This whole world opened up for me in pursuing that.
See, this even taps into manifestation.
Mm.
And sometimes it's misunderstood as very like woo woo, if something just happens out there. And but actually, it seems very intentional but also action oriented. So you didn't just wish to be a singer and healer. You didn't just wish for that and just sat and did nothing, right? Like you took specific action, intentional. Okay, what else do I need to do, or how can I be to fuel that's thing in me that can't wait to express itself is through singing and healing. So what was that like, this journey of kind of manifesting? Here you are living this life that this girl, this young girl, this child even, right, at 3 4 years old, you're fulfilling that.
Mm.
You are living it. You're right now, like you're doing it. It's not, it's here.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
what would you say to someone who's like, I don't know if I can manifest anything?
Oh, yeah. It's just the seeds, right? The seeds of the possibility that live inside of us already, right? And I don't want to just like quote things like if you can dream it, it can be, right? Those kinds of things. But
Right.
it's but the more it's true that in my experience and countless other people that I've seen too, that the more clear that we are on what we want and that we have the capacity to attract that to us, it's more
Mm.
likely to happen. Or even I had an experience one time where like there's almost like an energy of commitment, internal resolve, right?
Ah.
Internal resolve, because it's different from wanting outside of ourselves, where we bring it back to we are the ones with the power, co-creating with the universal support of energy.
Wow.
And I remember I wanted to find some housing near where I had been living. I had like two or three specific criteria.
Mm.
I wanted like cheaper rent, I wanted in the same area, and so I knew what I wanted. And I was looking at all of these postings. Nothing was fitting. I was actually at a poster board, I remember, where
Mhm.
I actually just was frustrated because there was like nothing,
Yeah.
and then I closed my eyes and I looked up and I said, "Please let me find the perfect place for me right now." And I just said it with this conviction. And I opened my eyes and I'm staring at a sign, a poster right in front of me that was exactly what I was looking for.
But you didn't see moments earlier.
I had not seen it.
I was right there.
It wasn't even there.
Mhm.
And then I asked, and then there it was, boom, which really kind of blows my mind, like the instant that I asked was this
Mm.
conviction, and then I had the eyes to see, because it must have been there, right?
Right, right.
Nobody walked up and put it there when I was, or maybe, who knows how these things work, but, it was right there, and it was
Yeah.
like 2 blocks from my house, it was a quarter of the rent cheaper, and the person had a healing room in the space, and I was just starting a
Wow.
healing practice at the time as well. So, it was like the universe supporting me, and I said, "That's where I'm gonna live." Yeah,
But see, it took a moment for you to step back. You actually paused
I did.
because you could have said, "I guess there's nothing. Let's go." Like, but you took a moment, which is really hard to do actually in a fast-paced life, in a rushed, hurried life, and we want quick results type of life. And you pause, you close your eyes, and you connect it to intention. Here's your intention. I really want this. Like, I really want this, and somehow that widened the lens of you seeing something you couldn't see earlier. Like, even for the listeners, like, what are you not seeing right now
Yeah,
with the current lens? Like, we all have blind spots, things we're not seeing, but you're just sharing how intention can open up that lens. Like, I want this, and then you got to be open to it
yeah.
and act, and you acted when it showed up.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I had this conviction, and then, yeah, I took the action right away, of course, because it was right in front of me.
Yeah, yeah.
But for those who also, those of us who believe in a higher power or
Mm,
universal supportive life force, God, whatever
mhm,
people call it too. I wonder how much of an element of that is in it of co-creating, like, or
mm,
asking the higher self, when we ask, because I feel like that's
yeah.
what prayer is, and it's like asking for something from a higher source, not just from the conscious mind of our own egos, right? That's often
Mm,
try to force something. So even if people don't believe in something spiritual, because there's many different ways of framing it, you can be accessing the unconscious, vast unconscious, mind that is
mm,
yeah, like you say, open, like, will respond to the direction that we give it also and guide us to what we're looking for. It'll be
mm.
right in front of our eyes.
Yes.
I remember another story from my childhood with my dad. This is some lore I also grew up with in my family with
Mhm.
manifesting. And my parents tell me this story, how my dad, he's saying to my mom, I'm going to buy a truck. And she's like, very practical. She said, well, what are you doing about it? He's like, well, nothing. I'm going to buy a truck. And she's like, well, how are you going to buy a truck if you're not doing anything? He's like, I don't know. I'm just going to buy a truck. And then he walks out the door, and a neighbor across the street shouts at him, hey, do you know anyone who wants to buy a truck?
What?
Yeah. And he's like, me?
Wow, talk about immediate.
Right?
Like, there it is.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Wow.
So I really believe that we all, that's how the nature of this life and this existence works. And
Mm,
it's only our internal beliefs of, like, lack of that, or fear or scarcity or worry, or, like you say, like, not pausing to
mm.
connect, and putting these things outside of ourselves, but knowing, like, okay, we can attract the perfect thing at the perfect time.
Yeah.
It's just we can get in the way of that. Maybe we're scared of having those things, or,
Mm.
yeah. So it's doing that work to, yeah, to pause and just be gentle, and then tune into, like, the frequencies of conviction and allowing and
Mm. Hello, everyone. I just wanted to quickly thank you for stopping by and watching this content. It truly means the world to me that you're interested in creating positive change. I also want to invite you to join our amazing community. I have free events online about mindfulness, mindfulness based stress reduction, laughter, as well as retreats that you can do from the comfort of your own home. And are you ready for this? Self paced program that you can do about mindfulness and stress reduction. So you can join the newsletter below to stay up to date on all these goodies. And if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and press that button. It really helps me to keep this content going and reach out to more guests. Thank you so much again, and may you continue enjoying watching this episode. There's a trust too, like we're trusting. I may not see it right now, but let's just be patient here. There's a trusting, and you use the word allowing, which I really like, allowing, because often we force, and I guess not knowing at times, like I'm bulldozing my way to this intention. Maybe this is not where I need to go. Like sometimes we keep pushing. So have you come across that yourself, or in terms of experience, those who have attended your sound healing, like when people force rather than allow?
yeah, absolutely.
Mm,
um where so resistance can come up in our lives sometimes, and I think the more that we try to force something, or the more we're resisting or forcing, the more we can be. Actually,
mm,
I may have mentioned this to you before, but I love this symbol of the Chinese finger trap, and it's this, I feel like, a metaphor, that it's like this. I was calling it for a while the key to the universe.
yes.
When we are stuck, when we're in, say, like a painful experience, or we're not getting the results we want,
Mm,
and we may not realize that we are, like, attached to an outcome or attached to something, we're
Mm.
trying to force something, or we're resisting something, right? So if we're having some uncomfortable emotions, often people will resist that, like, oh, it
Yeah.
shouldn't be this way. It shouldn't be like, I shouldn't feel like this. This is bad. This is
Mm.
wrong. And so what the Chinese finger trap is, so you put your fingers, it's a hollow weaving, the size that you can put your fingers in. So you can put your two index fingers in either side so they touch. And the hollow weaving is around both your fingers. And then when you start to pull out, you pull both your fingers out at the same time, the weaving tightens. And the harder you pull out, the tighter you get. The tighter and the more stuck you get, the tighter the weaving gets, the more
Mm.
stuck you get. And so that's a metaphor for like the harder we resist and try to pull or
Ah.
force, the more stuck we are in that thing. So what we actually have to do is the counterintuitive thing, which is letting go, which is allowing, like, go into the thing.
Ah.
And I'm having that memory also of one time when I was really challenged financially. I was feeling a lot of stress around money
Mm.
and making enough money. And I was self-employed, but you have to get your own clients. I was
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
at the time I was doing massage and body work. I did Hawaiian Lomi Lomi massage and Reiki
Mm.
for many years, and energy work.
Mhm.
And I was didn't have any clients booking. There was this period, and I remember someone invited me away for the weekend. And so my rational brain would think, no, you have to stay here and try to book clients and work. But I just said, yes, I'm going to go. And I had this great weekend. All my stress, just I let it go. I
Huh.
stopped worrying. And then I came back. I pulled into my driveway, and then I got a phone call from a client who wanted to book me for a big gig, like $1,000
Wow.
gig. Yeah. And it was like immediately when I got back, the money started flowing again.
That's amazing. Because you had to like sometimes we keep banging our head against the wall metaphorically, like keep going, keep pushing. You got to keep pushing, and you step back,
The pause again.
the pause again. It's like okay, no, but see, it requires interrupting habit pattern.
Yes,
So maybe
absolutely.
the pattern is to quickly, I got to fill more clients or I got to do more of this. And it's like, okay, what? There was no space for new creative thinking, no space for new opportunities if we keep just forcing things. So you step back and voila, something showed up. That's amazing.
Yeah, the thing that I wanted to come. Yeah, I find whenever I put pressure on myself to try to do something, it often I met with internal resistance. And it's but when I like if I'm putting pressure on myself, but if I open up and I'm like, okay, this is something that I can feel, like I let there be spaciousness around. Like I know, oh, I don't have to do this. I get to do this, or
Ah,
I'm choosing to do this. Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
the language. So it's like
yeah,
how we're talking to ourselves about it forms a certain story
absolutely.
of stuckness and have no choice and there's nothing I can do about this. And one
Yeah.
of my favorite quotes is about choice. It's Viktor Frankl, and he says, "Choice is the last human freedom.
Mm.
Like things can be taken away from us, but choice, how we choose to approach it, no one can take away." And sometimes it's disheartening when we feel like I have no choice, got nothing. And well, let's pause. Is there any choice?
Exactly, because even choosing to accept something that we weren't able to accept is a choice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'd love to talk a bit more about my sound healing for listeners
Please,
as well.
yes.
We didn't really talk about that too much.
It's so interesting.
Yeah.
You are so tuned in and intuitive because if anyone's watching rather than listening, I just looked down and I pointed. I've written a couple of notes. I'm like, oh, I want to go back to sound healing. And you just said it at the moment. I was like, oh, you're tuned in.
We're
So,
tuned in here.
so, what is sound healing for those who are not familiar with it? And why is it important? How can it help us?
Yeah. Well, sound healing itself is quite a big umbrella in this day and age. Actually, I went to a conference in 2007. I went to the Globe World Sound Healing Conference in San Francisco, and I
Mm,
actually got to perform on stage with Jonathan Goldman and Fred Bell was playing beautiful music, and I got to play
Ah.
with him. He's not with us anymore, but there was, yeah, all of these different uh, people who are, in sound healing, and there was so many. It was like all these vendors and all of these different applications of sound.
Mhm.
So it really ranges. You have tuning forks and crystal bowls and voice and electronic, vibrational frequency stuff.
Mm.
There's such a wide range. And so the specific type of sound healing that I do, as well as is becoming quite popular, I started in about 2007, um,
Mhm.
with playing crystal singing bowls and using my voice. I had been playing music in yoga studios quite a bit prior to that as well, with yoga classes, doing live music for yoga classes, and singing intuitively
Mm.
prior to this. But the crystal singing bowls really are amazing because they, how you can play a wine glass around the rim and it
Mhm.
makes the singing sound. It's like
Yeah.
wee, wee. Well, crystal singing bowls, they're these bowls ranging from 6 inches to 26 inches.
Huge.
Huge. They can
Can
be huge.
imagine heavy.
Yeah, very heavy. The big ones are
Yeah.
very heavy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they you play them with a rubber or a suede or silicone mallet around the
Mm.
rim, and they make this oscillating tone that actually, you can measurably shift the brain waves
Oh.
into a more meditative brainwave state. I think it's like the delta theta brainwave states. So it is very conducive to
Wow.
mindfulness practice, supporting mindfulness, supporting relaxing and calming the nervous system, because of the effect, the profound effect that these instruments, now they're being, or these healing tools,
Mm.
can have on the brain, on the listener. And I actually was at a sound healing last week that a friend of mine gave, and she was playing her bowl, and I was laying there, and I could hear it. I could hear it just wave, like bouncing back and forth, like
Wow.
from this side of me to that side of me, and it was such a cool feeling. And then I just dropped into this zone. I just was in the zone where
Mm.
it's this meditative, when you're going to deep meditation, when you really
Mm.
listen. It's that's I don't know even how to describe that. Maybe you have some
Mm.
words where you I named one of my albums Suspended, actually, because
Yes.
yeah, this feeling when you're in that mode of just feeling suspended
Yes.
in nothing, but wrapped in that and supported in that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
By the way, I have that CD on the days of CD. I have your suspended CD. I
first recording ever.
have that one. Yeah. But there is, so here's this impact, this visceral impact. So we have on the brain and the whole body and the nervous system. And there's kind of a deep presence that sounds and music can help invite.
Yeah.
And it's not a cognitive thing like, oh, now I'm going to get quiet. It's like a visceral dropping in. So when you named there's a range of instruments in sound healing.
Yeah.
So sound healing is the use of various instruments, and you're describing bowls as one of them,
Yeah.
right? And what else? Um, and when people say healing, like, what are we healing?
Yeah, so there's a several different instruments that can be used in sound
Mm.
healing. Crystal singing bowls are really a primary one. There's many people that use gongs. I don't usually
Mhm.
use gongs in mine, but the drum rhythm. So for me specifically, so I'll just share. So the
Yeah,
sound
yeah.
healing that I do is I create what I call a sound journey. And so
Mm.
I'll be facilitating a meditative sound journey for, up to sometimes 90 minutes to 2 hours, sometimes
Mm.
an hour or to 2 hours, in some cases longer, depending. But generally around 1 to 2 hours. And
Mm.
I'll go through a sequence of different instruments that have different effects on the body, but that are designed to really invite people into that pause, invite people into the
Mm,
liminal space inside. So we use crystal singing bowls. I primarily use my voice as well because of
mm.
my background in singing, and my love of singing and intuitive singing, and using my voice as an intuitive vibrational instrument. Because early on, I had a received some really profound feedback from people about my voice, that it really touched them deeply on an emotional
Mm.
level, that it affected them deeply. So I realized this is one of my healing tools,
Yes.
my love of singing in my toolkit. So I use voice, and then I use the instruments to accompany my voice, and sometimes on their own. Crystal singing bowls, which there's a variety of those as well. There's like metal and Tibetan brass bowls. There's the drum. I have
Mm.
an ocean drum that
Mhm.
people love, the ocean drum, because I just play it like it's these beads that roll back and forth on a surface, a skin, and like a
Oh, I can almost hear it as you're saying it. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
exactly. And so it's this like just the sound. And I remember I was in Maui one time, just camping on a beach, and I was laying on the beach just listening to the ocean waves coming in and out. And
Mm.
it's like that. It was such a beautiful feeling. Um, and so that's, this ocean drum is emulating the sounds of the waves and that rhythmic.
Mm.
And then some people play didgeridoo. I occasionally play that, not very often.
Mhm. That's the one behind you, those of you who were watching.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, this
There's
is a
one
different,
behind you, yeah.
yeah, there's one there. And what else? There's many new inventions in sound healing instruments as well. There's a lot of people
Mm.
inventing some really cool new things. I also play a harp and channel a song intuitively, allow a song to come through, often in my
Mm.
sound journeys. Shruti box from India, which
Mm.
makes a drone. So each instrument and sound and vibration, and there's chimes and bells and shakers and rattles. And I'll walk around this space and give people a close experience of the sound and the vibration. And so
Ah.
sometimes, just the taking this opportunity to pause for people and be in a guided sound journey, different things will come up for them, different
Mm.
emotions. They can, memories. Sometimes in one of the sound
Mm.
baths I was in, I had a bunch of memories from my childhood surface that were accompanied by
Ah.
tears. And it felt very cleansing and clearing to revisit some things and
Mm.
some of the discomfort that I felt in those, and just to release it, to let the tears flow.
Mm.
So it can be different. Sometimes people have loved ones, deceased loved ones come and visit them.
Right.
Yeah.
Loss.
Yeah. Sometimes people can feel like their ancestors or divine love or a connection with the
Mm.
earth. I really draw from the elements and
Mm.
of the earth and the land, because that's part of my spiritual path. Very connected to more earth-based spiritualities, First Nations, and I have Métis
Right.
ancestry, and I also grew up, part of my childhood on this in this wilderness community of Echo Bay,
Mm.
which I got to go to a potlatch when I was very young,
Hmm.
and uh, and I used to chant out my window and just feel it to the earth and just feel very
Oh,
connected,
wow.
yeah, to the earth. And also the Huna, the Hawaiian Huna spirituality,
Mm.
is the traditional spirituality is also very earth based with the elements, and in the type of Huna bring in, yeah, all of the different, the
Mm.
fire, earth, air, fire, and water, and let that be in service of the healing. So, and you asked about the healing element.
Mm.
So the sound journeys have, the capacity to help us clear and balance and heal through being able to have a safe space to feel some emotions or revisit
Yeah.
some things. It has a comforting effect usually on the nervous system. And I also will apply touch sometimes for people. So if
Mm.
people are having some a challenge letting go, I'm intuitively guided because also of my years of body work, and
Right.
yeah, I have an intuitive ability to be guided, and I won't even necessarily know why. As intuitive is trusting and following your intuitive calling.
Right.
I'm like, oh, I need to touch this person's heart right now, and just guide them to their heart, and then they'll have like have a bit of a release, or they'll open their eyes and they'll just say
Mm.
thank you. Yeah. So my intention with the sound healing that I do is really that people feel the depth of how deeply loved each of us is,
Mm.
that universal love, um, that soul spirit, unconditional love that we all are worthy of and
Mm.
divine. So bringing that into the sound bath and into people's experience so that they feel safe to, yeah, to release some stuff and to allow themselves to trust the process and
Oh, yeah.
calm the nervous system, and then feel
Mm.
ultimately more peaceful and uplifted after.
Mm. As you're describing it, like there's such a deep level of intimacy with oneself. Like when you're this, and having experienced it myself, it's like you get to connect with you, and needing a space, because it's really hard to, we have a saying in counseling, it's very tough to heal what you don't feel.
Yeah.
Right. It's very tough to heal what you don't feel, and what you're describing is like you're setting all the conditions, right? A safe space, and intention, and
Intention.
just, yeah, very, very clear, and just then allowing, because you
Mhm.
can't, you can't. I heard a saying once that I really like: you can't open a flower with a hammer. Do you know what I mean? Like, like it just, yeah, it's just like you just setting up the space, letting it unfold, and then requires connecting. And I really appreciate how you named, even like, this is not just about let's just only feel good.
Mhm.
It's about allowing what needs to be felt. It might be sorrow, it might be tears, it may be grief, it might be like forgiveness, it might be, but it requires connecting.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
you're setting the conditions for your participants to connect, to feel in a safe space, and just allow things to kind of process in the
Mhm.
body.
Mhm.
Really beautiful description.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so necessary, I think. It's so, and there's something about, also being in a group, because I do a lot of group events, and there's like a co-regulation, that happens when we
Mm.
allow ourselves to just be in this type of ceremony where, you're sober, you're not taking anything other than the music, right? Like
Right.
and it's altering our consciousness, and it's like a ceremony inviting us into a ceremonial space, which so many of us have lost, in our
Yeah.
culture. Opportunities for ceremony, which is I love that you named the connection piece, because that's
Mm.
really intrinsic to it. It's connecting with ourself, and then ultimately then to be able to feel more connected and present in our lives, right, and our with our loved ones.
Mm. And there's the piece around community,
Hmm.
like the community, this traveling humans, community of humans. There's a togetherness.
Yeah,
There's a
that we're in this
togetherness.
together, that we're all,
Mm.
I when I was a kid too, I was a really deep thinker and thinking about the nature of reality and what is this existence,
Mhm.
and also the aloneness of, like, that we're all ultimately we're the one we're going to be with our whole life experience. Is We're the
Mm.
constant that is with us, and we're alone in in our birth and our death, and there's other people and
Mhm.
beings also who are we're sharing this experience, like
Mm.
there's the aloneness of the human journey, but there's the intimacy in knowing that each of us is traveling together in our aloneness. You know what I mean? It's really interesting, because I think that sometimes aloneness can be a, a very painful feeling
Yes.
for people, and myself sometimes when I feel alone. But when I tune into like the deeper like the shared aloneness in a way that and the presence of the
Mm.
aloneness, like as a presence, as a like, oh, actually I'm here, like I'm not alone, actually, because
Mhm.
I'm always here. There's always this, the witness, or the, I don't know if you can call, like, the higher self, the witness, that presence within that is throughout the whole experience.
Mhm.
I feel a bit emotional talking about this, but
Yeah, I can feel it.
it's just like
Yeah.
it's beautiful,
Mm.
and I don't know, it's beautiful. It's, there's a bittersweet, but it's also beautiful, you know, in a way.
Mm. Yes, it is. I
Because
mean,
we're, yeah. Sorry, go on. Yeah.
no, this I mean, that's the beauty of human experience. It's there's deep sorrow and deep joy,
Yeah.
and all of it. This mindfulness teacher who passed away, monk Thich Nhat Hanh, he speaks about this interbeing, like this connectivity we have, this with everything, with the cloud, with the wind, with a cup of tea, like with people around us, and people often feel lonely. And I find that very powerful, what you're describing and being in a group. And I teach retreats, and something that I often say to participant is, you you're going to be alone, but we're together.
Yeah, exactly.
This alone together.
Yeah.
So there's like a warm silence that
Yes.
holds all of us. There's a shared human experience rather
Ex-
than isolated illusion.
exactly. And that
Mm,
we can have that perspective with every single moment of our life,
mm,
like not just in the meditations or the sound journeys, like we can have that awareness. And then, and yeah, I feel like when I tune into that, and then I really come back to presence, right? And then through presence, I can feel that interconnectedness with
mm,
with the life around me. Like I'm more present.
mm.
It's interesting, right? Again, it's like a bit of that paradox of like, because we're not actually alone, we're together in the
Yeah.
aloneness and all of this. Anyway, it's really, then it makes me happy. And I'm like, oh, I'm not actually alone. I'm part of everything. And yeah, and it's amazing.
Yes, there's something about kind of remembering.
Yes.
It's remembering. We tend to forget a lot. We get lost in our own head, and we forget. We get lost in the story of me, me, me. I didn't get this. I wanted this. This didn't happen to me. And we kind of
Stories.
hyper focus on just the most important thing on the planet: me, me, me. And did you really like? And forget this really amazing world with all tragedies and incredible things, both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's one of the things as well that you share that I found really very profound is this personal transformation through voice and singing. So, can you share a little bit more about that? Like, I know you teach lessons as well, but can you say about what's possible in terms of transformation through voice, and what do people connect with as they start connecting to their voice with singing?
Yeah. For me, when I opened up the freedom to express my voice and express this, what I call spontaneous creative self-expression,
Mm,
it was one of the most liberating things in my life, experiences of my life. Like when I didn't have to have it all figured out ahead of time, and I could just open and allow myself to be almost like a vessel, or
mm,
just allow myself to connect with the depth of my authentic heart, like what's my truth that's wanting to come
mm,
through, or feel like an instrument being sung through. And there's a whole range with singing, right? But in you can look at almost every spiritual religious tradition,
mhm.
there's an element of singing,
Yeah.
right? There's, it just, because it connects us with devotion, with rapture, it connects us
Mm,
with it. It's a shared, like, it's good on chemical physiological level, but like having the experience of singing in a groups with others, it just raises all of this amazing experience and connects us with the divine, right? So in groups, it's a tool that connects us with the divine.
Mm.
And with ecstasy, right? So often I also teach that um, a lot of people, we have the part of us that tries to control things, or we have a fear of letting go. And when we sing,
Mhm.
we can allow ourselves, there's an opportunity to let go, to surrender the ego. And I remember,
Mm.
actually, before I had this big transformation even with my voice, I was at a spiritual kirtan with Amma from India, the hugging saint.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I went to see her and receive the darshan,
Oh, wow.
yeah, the blessing, and it was a really profound and beautiful experience. Any of the times I've been with her, but this first time, then we were doing kirtan, mantra, singing. There was a band, and I just remember feeling so constrained, like I couldn't let go, and I was
Mm.
singing the mantra over and over, and then all of a sudden it happened. I just surrendered. I just dropped all of that,
Mm.
all of the control and the effort and the like looking good or the performing or the perfectionism,
Mm.
trying to get it right. And I just surrendered, and it was so beautiful. And there was just love. It was just love.
Mm.
And I felt so
Wow.
free. Yeah. And and it was through the singing, through like
Mm.
in this case repeating the mantras, and then just dropping all of the tension that I was carrying,
Mm.
of the ego, the holding, right? And I was, oh my god, my heart was so open. And I went back, like, to Vancouver, because we were in Seattle.
Yeah.
This stayed with me, this bubble. I was just like, it was just in this love bubble. Like, my heart was so open. I just loved everybody. And in that state, also, you don't feel fear, right? Like,
Mm.
because love is what's pervading.
Wow.
And and it's so beautiful. I've had that experience in my life a few times where I really, and each time, of course, you have that experience. Now the part of you knows, right? Like,
Right. Yes. It's
yeah,
familiar. It's a
yeah.
moment of personal liberation.
Yeah,
Boom.
and then you're like, "Oh, that can happen again," or at least it's
Mhm.
happened. And so even if you go back to, like, oh, a normal way, you've already had that transformation, right?
Yeah.
So it's so freeing. And yeah, so I just come back again and again to the voice and to singing, because even in my singing classes, my students, they're telling me, yeah, they're having some of those kinds of releases there, and they're
Mm.
seeing some of the places where they're holding back. And then you keep doing it to, like, allow that breakthrough, right? And to
Mm.
use it for self-healing, because also expression is so important. Like in counseling, if people are
Mhm.
holding stuff inside,
Yeah.
not speaking it, it's so much to carry. And just when we just express it, and we tell it to someone, or we let it be heard, even journaling about how we
Right.
feel, right? It's the expression, we're getting it out, we don't have to hold it anymore. And
Mm.
so I use singing in that way as well. Like, and I
Mm.
feel like also that's where, for people who also use music, that's where some of the most, beautiful, powerful love songs come from, was their therapy, right?
Right.
They're writing,
They tapped into something.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're singing their sorrow, their pain, and then we can relate to that because we also have that experience,
Mm.
in life, and then we feel heard. And so it's a tool that we can both use creatively, and also we can receive the healing from so many, other people who have shared and created music and from their
Mm.
hearts, right?
It's felt.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's felt, and what a state, and it's so interesting. It's not like you're trying to get to that state. You just allowed yourself to express through voice and singing, and then something. It's like when the right conditions are there, boom, this deep moment of like openness and love, and no one can take that away, right? And I think of it often as, and this metaphor is used a lot, is like a camera, right? Like there's a contraction and openness,
Yeah.
like a lens, and we'll have moments where we open up, and even if we close again after, and we're going to get busy in our life and stressed about this and stressed about that, who doesn't?
Yeah.
And but it's like once we've experienced something, that becomes in the body what's possible, connecting on that level to ourself, that type of love and connection. And so that's one of the many reasons I was just really excited to reconnect with you and really have this conversation to let people know this incredible work you're doing. It truly is. And I know, um, I just have want to ask you another thing before we end, but can you just mention where could people find you? What's the best way? I'll put it in the show notes as well. What's the best way for people to learn about your
Um,
upcoming events and lessons and coaching, all the different things you do?
yeah, I have a website which is my name, thedaphoenix.com,
Hmm.
THEDA, and then PHOENIX. I always said Phoenix as I was growing up.
Phoenix.
Because then it's like, how do you spell Phoenix? It's like Phoenix.
Phoenix.
Yeah, because that's my middle name. Phoenix is my middle name.
Mhm.
And so thedaphoenix.com. And then I also have
Mhm.
livingsoundtemple.com, which is a place where people can download a free gift and join my
Mm.
mailing list. So livingsoundtemple.com.
Livingsoundtemple.com. I'll put it on the show notes as
Yeah,
well.
and
Yeah.
you can receive a beautiful short meditation audio, beautiful angelic music
Oh,
for centering and mhm.
that's beautiful. There's a free giveaway right here, friends. So make sure you go to that link and I'll put it in the show notes. And are you also on, can people find you on social media as well? Like,
Yeah, just
Inst-
through my name, Theta, on Instagram, Theta.Phoenix.
okay.
And yeah, and then you can just really anywhere Theta Phoenix Music on Facebook. Although I also, yeah, you can do really Spotify, Bandcamp,
All of them.
different
Yeah.
places to stream music. And yeah, and I have a YouTube channel as well, which I received a grant from Creative BC this year
Mm,
to create a lot of more music and YouTube videos. So I'm going to be,
beautiful.
yeah, putting some energy into my YouTube channel with more beautiful music that people can listen to and enjoy, like in a, yeah, meditative kind of way. Yeah.
How beautiful is that? I'll put all of that in the show notes. And I know we talked about possibly sharing something here intuitively, whether it's with a bowl or singing. And I just want to ask you one question before we do that, which is the name of the podcast is Pause to Elevate. And I'm wondering what kind of bubbles up for you when you hear pause to elevate. What does it mean to you?
Yeah, well, it's so in line with the work that I do because
Mm,
like just through stopping and then with intention, you just pause. To me, it's like pausing to go inward and and to um, to connect and through intention, and then to come out more new, more present, more
mm,
focused. And it also reminds me of like, in a way too, like the dark night of the soul. Like I've had some dark night of the souls in my life sometimes where I'm like, I just had to go inward, and it was painful and felt messy. And I have a song
yeah.
called Butterfly. So I think of the butterfly, and so you're also talking about expansion and contraction. I really think that these cycles are part of
Mm,
life in a lot of cases, and that it's okay to honor the pause, even though we have so much fear about that sometimes,
yeah.
but to go, okay, I'm needing to pause to recalibrate. We're thinking of the bear that hibernates in the winter,
Hmm.
all the seasons and the cycles. It's part of the nature. We expand and we contract. We have connection. We have separation. There's all of
Mm,
these polarities and dualities in life. And to know that, we're riding the waves, but that the pause can bring us back to create a reset, right?
mm,
So the pause helps us to begin again or like rebirth as that butterfly.
mm.
That's what really comes up for me.
A beautiful description.
Thanks.
Thank you for sharing that. And you truly are living that. This pause to elevate. You continue to elevate your own life and supporting others and elevating their life. So I'm wondering if we can have a moment of intuitive treat for
Mhm.
listeners to hear your voice. And I know there's the bowl
Yeah, let's try to.
behind you. It's a small bowl, and we can see how it goes.
Yeah, this is a yeah a little brass bowl. Um, so yeah, I'll just take a moment to center and
Mm.
allow some frequencies and
Mm.
to pause to elevate. Thank you.
Mm.
Mhm. Connecting with the breath. I come home. I come home in this moment to myself.
Mm. Wow. That gave me goosebumps.
Mm.
My whole nervous system is just exactly dropped. Just like, yeah, just my whole nervous system went, bro.
It
What a gift to hear you.
it always amazes me how palpable it is and how quickly it takes like no time at all to drop into that state, that present state. Like
Mm.
so such a short moment and then I just feel like renewed and peaceful and present.
Yeah, you connected so
Mhm.
quickly
Just,
to that part that is always there. This deep wisdom. You connected right there. And so the words even you shared,
mm,
it's not like a plan. It just came up right. Yeah. It's
uh,
just for listeners to know. It's not like I'm gonna do this. It's just you allowed, you connected,
yeah.
coming home.
Yeah, that's what
Mm.
came through. Yeah.
Mm. Well, what a beautiful intention to share. May we all come home to ourselves.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This was such a joy, such a delight, such a pleasure, such a treat. Thank you so much for being such a loving heart in this universe and really following your heart and walking the talk and sharing so freely. So thank you so much. And I truly encourage everyone to visit your websites, your social media, get that free audio, subscribe to her newsletter. And I want to thank all listeners for listening. And if you're watching, for watching. Please share this with friends, family, anyone that you think may benefit from this. May your moments be filled with ease and may you be present in as many of them. Thank you.
Mhm. Thank you for having me. Mhm.
Thank you so much. Hello there, and thank you so much for stopping by this channel. I hope you find this content useful, and if you do, feel free to hit that subscribe button. It will really help me to reach to more people and keep this content going. Here we are journeying together, and let's see where this takes us.